Hey everyone, welcome to DAX Guides. We are going to be talking about the if function in this video. This is one of my absolute favorite functions to use. It is very versatile and there is so much you can do with it. They also can build on one another, so you can have a lot of conditional statements within one function. Let's talk about it now. So what does the if function do? It checks whether a condition or multiple conditions are met, and it will return one value if true and another value if false. You can choose those values. So unlike some of our other logical functions where it just provides a true or a false, this is one where you can give a value that says, if it meets this condition, then put this. If it meets this condition, put this. And if it doesn't meet any of these conditions, put this. So you can add logical tests onto one another and then provide what you want it to say if it doesn't meet those conditions. So the if function is kind of like a decision maker that helps you choose between options based on a condition. It's going to check if a condition is met and then gives you a result. The example I have here is a little fun. It's our potion status example. So if the ingredients dragon scales are greater than 10, then the potion is ready. If it is not greater than 10, then it is going to say gather more ingredients, or tell you need to gather more ingredients because you need to have more than 10 dragon scales to accomplish what you need to accomplish. Let's head over to my laptop and actually see this in action. All right, so here we are in Power BI. I have a little table here that has some product names within it. I am going to start with a calculated column example first. Now, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you a really simple version of what we're going to create, and then I'm actually going to create a more complicated version, and we're going to actually do this in our customer table. So what I have here in the customer table is I do have the age of our customers here. Now, what I want is a column that says these people are over the age of 60 and these people are under the age of 60. I just want to be able to group my ages into two age groups. There are various ways to do grouping in Power BI, and this is honestly one of my favorites. It's pretty simple and it has a lot of different areas where you can use this. Age is one of my favorite times to do this. I use this function all the time. So let's start with it on a very basic level. Let's go up to new column up at the top. And I am just going to call this one, I am going to call this if example. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to say if the customer's age is above the age of 60, then call them 60 and up. So I'm going to say if. And you can see here IntelliSense saying I need a logical test, I need a result if that test is true, and I also need a result if that test is false. So first I need to give it the logical test. I am going to refer to my customer table and my age column here. And then I'm going to say I want it to be greater than or equal to 60. So if the customer's age is above the age of 60, I'm going to do a comma, and now I need to give it the result if true. I'm going to put this in double quotations. I want to say 60 and up. So that column is going to show for everyone who is above the age of 60 in that age column. In our new column, it's going to say that they are 60 and up. Now, I also am going to put a comma, and I'm going to put the result if true. This is simple. You don't even have to put anything except exactly what you wanted to say if it does not meet this condition. So I'm going to say that they are under 60. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Close it off with a double quotation. So I have my logical test, which is the age is over the age of 60. Result if true. It's going to be the output of 60 and up. And then result if false, under 60. I'm going to close this off with a parenthesis, and I'm going to hit enter. Now you can see a lot of these are under 60. I'm going to drop this down. I do also have a 60 and up value that does exist within here. So this did work out the way I wanted to. I can double check too. I can see all of these that are under 60. If I just look down this column, these are all under the age of 60. So we're good to go here. Let's take this to another level. I am going to do another new column here. Let's kind of step this up. I'm going to say if advanced example. I am going to build a couple of if statements on top of one another. So I'm going to stack this if function. You can stack multiple if statements on top of one another. So I'm actually going to hit Shift Enter and go down to my second line. Using the lines in DAX are strictly most of the time used for organizational purposes. When I'm doing my if functions, then I'm stacking them. I love to keep it organized by dropping to the different lines. So I'm going to start with my if statement. And this time what I want to do is I want to put if they're above the age of 60, call them 60 plus. If they're above the age of 50, call them 50 plus, for example. Now it's important when you're doing this to start, you have to go in a particular order. Your DAX function is going to check that first test first, and then it's going to move on to the second test. So for ages specifically, you need to start with the highest level and then work your way down to the lowest level. So I'm going to start with the 60. So I'm going to do customer age. And then I'm going to put if it is greater than or equal to 60, then I want you to put 60 plus. Now I want to build another if statement on top of this because I want to say now if they're 50, if it's greater than 50, put 50 plus. So I'm going to do a comma. I'm going to drop it to another line. And I'm going to do another if statement here. I'm going to once again customer age. And also if IntelliSense is ever kind of in your way, you can always hit escape and it will go away. Sometimes it just kind of bothers me. It gets in the way of what I'm doing. I'm going to keep this pretty simple. I'm going to say if it's greater than or equal to 50 now, then I want it to just say 50 plus. I suggest you're more specific. I do have an example of a more specific one that I'm going to show you in a second. But for what we're doing right now for this example, I'm just going to keep it simple by saying 50 plus. I trust you. I realize that 50 plus can mean they're also above the age of 60. I'm not oblivious to that. But I just want to show you a simple stacking method here. So these are just two logical conditions here. I'm going to go ahead and put my result if false now. So I'm actually going to drop it to another line. And everyone else I'm going to just say is under 50. Now I am combining if statements, I'm stacking them. So notice when I finished my first if statement, I didn't close off that parenthesis. This is an instance where you're going to put all your parentheses at the end. So I have two red parentheses. I'm going to close them all out at the end because you can say multiple logical statements. You just have to keep producing that if function. So let's go ahead, hit enter. And now you can see the difference. There's some under 50, there's some 50 plus. If I drop this down, I've got some 60 plus in here. So this did work the way I wanted to. I would be more specific when I'm doing this. So I'm going to show you my age breakdown column that I have in here. In this example, I have greater than equal to 55, 55 plus, greater than equal to 45. I have them labeled as between the ages of 45 and 54. So I have that a little bit more specific within there rather than just saying 50 plus like I had before or 45 plus. But this is another example of how you can continue to stack if statements and then just provide one false narrative at the end for this. This looks awesome. I really like how this turned out. I'm going to show you in a visual here in a second why I like to do this type of grouping. But let's go make a measure really quick using the if function. Let's go ahead back to our report view. And I'm going to go up and hit new measure here. I am just going to, once again, I'm going to call this the if example like I have been doing. I do like to capitalize so that I know these are functions. And for this one, I am once again going to be combining this logical statement with an aggregate so that we get the best of both worlds. Remember that measures are calculations, so it does have to have some kind of, math going on in the background of some sort. So I'm going to do if, and then I'm going to do a sum. So we're going to kind of stack again here, because what I want is I want to do the sum of the sales amount if it is greater than 500. Yes. If it's greater than 500, the sum of the sales amount is greater than 500, then I wanted to say 500 plus. And then if it's less than that, I just wanted to say less than 500. So let's start with, as always, our logical statement comes first, but we do need to provide what we are summing. I'm going to do internet sales, and we're going to do sales amount. All right. So if this, I'm going to close that parenthesis because that's the end of my sum. I want the sum of the internet sales amount. Now, if that sum is greater than or equal to 500, then I want it to put 500 plus. Beautiful. Now, if it is less than 500, so pretty much if it does not meet that condition, then I want it to put less than 500. So I'm not going to stack here any more logical statements. I'm going to provide a true and a false, and then I'm going to close it off because that is the end of my if function. So if the sum of the internet sales is greater than or equal to 500, put 500 plus. If it is less than that, put less than 500. Let's go ahead and hit enter. Awesome. So now I'm going to put this, I did put it in the wrong table, so let's move it to my measure table really quick. And then I'm going to put it in my visual here. Awesome. So these are all the product names. English product name is what I have in here. And if the sum of all of the sales amount for that product is greater than 500, then it is labeling it 500 plus. If it's less than 500, then it's labeling it less than 500. So this is really a good example of what we are doing with our grouping. Now I want to show you why I do grouping with the if function in my calculated columns. So for example, I love to show this. If you have a pie chart and you decide to put, let's do our total sales, and then I'm going to put my age. I'm just going to put from my customer table, let's find age, and let's put that in. All right, we're going to want to put age in the legend. Whoa. Age looks like this looks like the Wheel of Fortune. This is a little overwhelming, right? This is a very, very bad pie chart. Very bad. Now I'm going to make the exact same thing. Pie chart. I'm going to do total sales again. And this time I am going to put our age breakdown in here. Well, actually, let's do our age breakdown. So let's put that in here. Much better, right? I have very clear representation of our age groups that have been created. I can also even put my if example in here so you can see a clear, oh, this many are under 60 and this many are 60 and up. Our 60 and up are definitely carrying the team on our total sales. Much easier to read, much more clear, still giving you information about age, your audience, your target audience, without this Wheel of Fortune effect. I'm still able to compare age and total sales. I hope you learned a lot from this video. I will see you in the next one.